Welcome back to Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Ollie Hayes, and today I'm bringing the starting 11 show for Everton versus Chelsea. First game under the new Freakin' era. So let's get straight into it. Obviously, I think there's not going to be a lot of changes in this game from the Arsenal performance. Obviously, a very good point down at the Emirates last weekend. So I don't think Dyche is going to tweak things too much, but we'll start with Jordan Pickford in goal. Best player on the pitch, in my opinion, against Arsenal. We'll need him again to keep Chelsea out. Obviously, they're pretty free flowing at the moment. They're scoring a lot of goals. So we will need Jordan Pickford to have a very good game once again to try and keep them out. But yeah, as I said before, his performance against Arsenal was absolutely fantastic, wasn't it? He was so good. The amount of saves he made to keep it 0-0, he was absolutely fantastic. So, Dyche will be looking to utilise him once again. And I think Jordan Pickford will start on Sunday against Chelsea. So moving into the back four, Vitaly Mykolenko, I think, will keep his place at left back. I think he was much improved against Arsenal. Obviously, he got skinned a couple of times by Bukayo Saka, but there's not many fullbacks in the league that can say that they have kept Bukayo Saka completely quiet in a game. So I think he dealt with him relatively well. There was a couple of times where obviously he did get to the byline and get across him, but I think Mykolenko 9 times out of 10 kept Saka quite quiet. So I think that's every credit to him. Obviously, he's you know, not had the greatest of starts to the season. So fingers crossed he can put that behind him now and start to put a little bit of a run together. But I do think Mykolenko will start against Chelsea on Sunday. And then moving into the two centre halves, I think Jared Branthwaite and James Tarkowski will keep their partnership going. They're going to have a different type of battle, aren't they, in this game? Obviously, it was a massive set piece battle. That was the large focus of Arsenal and how they hoped to try and break us down. But we dealt really well with them. Obviously, Branthwaite and Tarkowski, we know, are fantastic in the air. So I think they dealt very well with that. And obviously, they'll both need to play better than they did in April in the 6-0 down at Stamford Bridge, which I was unfortunate enough to be in the away end to witness that one. But yeah, as I said before, I do think Dyche will look to keep that partnership going. And obviously, Branthwaite getting into a bit of form now, isn't he? He's had a difficult start to the season, but he's starting to put a run of performances together. So fingers crossed he can keep that going on Sunday against Chelsea. Then moving to right back, same with Mykolenko. I think this player has been, you know largely criticised in the last 18 months, but he did really well against Martinelli on Saturday against Arsenal. It's Ashley Young, and as I've said many a time now in various starting 11 shows, various reviews, I do think Ashley Young is quietly going about his business as our best player this season and playing really well. And 39 years Ashley Young, some may say, but as I said before, same with Mykolenko on Saturday. I think he dealt really well with the pace and the power of Arsenal and the fact that they have very pacey wingers. I do think he dealt very well with them. So every credit to him, but that completes the back four. So we'll move into the midfield. And the first midfielder I think will keep his place is Orel Mangala. Fantastic against Arsenal, in my opinion. Broke up the play really well. Always tries to be progressive, in my opinion. He always gets the ball to his feet and tries to, look forward and make striding runs forward with the ball. Maybe something that Idrissa Gana-Gueye or James Garner, for example, players like that, what they lack. So what they lack in that, Mangala makes up for it. So I do think he was fantastic on Saturday against Arsenal. And long may it continue. And obviously we might be seeing him in an Everton shirt even longer. Depends if we make that permanent in the summer or in January. It remains to be seen, but I do think he will keep his place. And then obviously I've mentioned his partner and obviously that partnership which is slowly forming in midfield, Idrissa Gana-Gueye. Do think he will keep his place in there. And as I said before, they are forming a very decent partnership now, and hopefully they can keep that going and keep their solid, because it's going to be a game where the midfield battle is going to be key in this one. So hopefully they can keep that partnership going well. And yeah, I do think Dyche will look to keep that partnership in midfield. And then moving into the sort of attacking midfielder role, I do think this one will be unchanged as well. I think Abdoulaye Doucouré, I'm going to expect him to be in there again, purely just for structure. I do think Dyche does like to have that structure in there and does like to have Abdoulaye Doucouré sort of setting the press, being that furthest forward midfielder and almost playing as an attacking midfielder, second striker kind of thing. So I do think Abdoulaye Doucouré will keep his place in there. That moves us on quite nicely into the front three. And off the left-hand side, I think Iliman Ndiaye will play. He did look very tired at the end of the Arsenal game, so hopefully he can kind of put that behind him and put in another good performance against Chelsea. But in my opinion, he did look very tired at the end of that game, purely because I think we don't see him, what he does off the ball. He's so up and down in terms of his, pressing. He's here, there, and everywhere. So I do think he, may need a little bit of a rest at some point in the near future. But he does work so hard, and fingers crossed he can put in another decent performance like he did against Arsenal, defensive and going forward. He is our superstar. So fingers crossed he can turn that into a goal, because he is on a little bit of a drought at the moment. But fingers crossed going into this game. And then off the right hand side, I do think this will be where we see the only change for Dyche this weekend. I think it will be Jesper Lindstrom instead of Jack Harrison for this one. Jesper Lindstrom just has a little bit more pace. He's a little bit more direct in his running. Obviously, the news that Cucurella is suspended for Chelsea, so it'll be him up against, I think it'll be Renato Vega, who's Chelsea's left back. So obviously, it gives us a little bit of room to try and get at that area of the pitch. Obviously, Lindstrom, pace, power. Pretty direct in his running, probably a little bit more direct than say a Jack Harrison, for example. So fingers crossed he can, start putting some decent performances in, and turning these decent performances he's had in recent weeks into some goals and assists, because that's really the only part of his game at Everton so far that he is lacking. But that completes the wingers, and then moving into the number 9 position, I would have gone with Armando Broja, but obviously everyone will know that he's playing against his parent club, so he's actually unavailable for this game. So I do think it'll be Dominic Calvert-Lewin once again. Calvert-Lewin did okay against Arsenal. He looked very isolated, but also he didn't look to get into the game himself. Obviously, Broja came on and was powerful, wanted to make a name for himself and wanted to try and stake his claim in the team. Obviously, he knew he wasn't going to be able to play against Chelsea, so maybe that was playing on his mind a little bit more, that he wanted to impose himself in the Arsenal game a little bit more. It remains to be seen. But that being said, I do think Dominic Calvert-Lewin will start up front against against Chelsea on Sunday at Goodison Park, and that rounds up the team. So I'll just go through it one more time. So it's Jordan Pickford in goal, Vitaly Mikolenko, Jared Branthwaite, James Tarkowski, and Ashley Young as your back four. Orhan Mangala, Idrissa Gana Gueye, and Abdoulaye Doucouré. Iliman Ndiaye off the left-hand side, Jesper Lindstrom off the right-hand side, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin up front. Obviously, people will know that I've left out Dwight McNeil here. Sean Dyche did say in his press conference today that he is touch and go, so I think he might look to give McNeil, a little bit of a rest for this one, and then use him in the Man City game and the Nottingham Forest game after that one, which is obviously a huge game. Nottingham Forest coming to Goodison, they're on good form, so fingers crossed we can try and get a result in one of the next 3. But yeah, that's my reasoning behind leaving Dwight McNeil out of this one. But it must be said that Chelsea do have a very poor record at Goodison, so fingers crossed their last trip to Goodison we can make it as dismal as they've had it in recent years. Obviously, we've had a lot of decent performances and a lot of decent results against Chelsea in recent years, so fingers crossed we can keep that up on Sunday. But let me know your thoughts in the comments about this starting 11. Do you think Dyche will make any more changes, or just the one that I've mentioned? Obviously, Jesper Lindstrom for Jack Harrison. But let me know in the comments. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I'll speak to you soon.